Unhealthy diets play a really important role in contributing to non-communicable diseases. We know that non-communicable diseases kill approximately 38 million people per year and contribute to 70% of all worldwide death. The Global Burden of Disease Project tried to quantify the diseases and their associated risk factors. It found that unhealthy diets were the largest risk factors for non-communicable diseases, and they're associated with increased prevalence of overweight and obesity. Overweight and obesity has been linked with total mortality and increased risk of death or disease from cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and many forms of cancer. The mechanisms behind overweight and obesity contributing to high blood pressure, cholesterol, and other factors such as inflammation and insulin resistance. Insulin resistance also contributes to cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Because chronic disease is such a complex issue, dietary intervention alone may not help reduce non-communicable disease, but will definitely help when used in combination with things such as increasing physical activity. We know that on a population level, increasing our fruit and vegetable intake, increasing the contribution of nuts, seeds, and whole grains in our diet, and lowering our intake of processed food will definitely help reduce and prevent non-communicable diseases. Measuring diet is very difficult, and there are many different methods of doing so. Some methods look at dietary patterns, some look at foods individually, and some break that down further to look at nutrients. Dietary patterns look at combinations of different foods in the diet and the frequency with which they're consumed. In terms of cardiovascular disease in particular, a Mediterranean diet pattern has been shown to be really effective in reducing the risks. The main aspects of this diet pattern include the high consumption of olive oils, pulses, nuts, fruits and vegetables, moderate to high consumption of fish, moderate consumption of dairy products, mainly yogurts and cheeses, moderate wine consumption, and low consumption of meat-based products. These are the dietary patterns of people around the Mediterranean, such as Italy, Spain and Greece, going back to about 40 to 50 years ago. Generally, the healthiest diet pattern to avoid non-communicable diseases is a plant-based diet, so one that is high in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, pulses, nuts and seeds, and modest amounts of meat and dairy. We know that fruit and vegetables prevent cardiovascular disease, and in terms of looking at individual foods and nutrients, eating red and processed meats increases your risks of developing colorectal cancers and other cancers. Saturated fat and trans fat have been associated with increased blood cholesterol and cardiovascular risk. High sodium and salt in the diet is a major risk factor for blood pressure. And we know that reducing salt in the diet is really important for preventing cardiovascular diseases. Diets high in meat and dairy have also been associated with cardiovascular diseases. Energy-dense, nutrient-poor foods contribute to overweight and obesity. These are just some of the foods and nutrients that are associated with cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancers. The burden of nutrition-related non-communicable diseases will probably not be reduced in the near future, but there are many actions that can help reduce their impact. The World Health Organization has developed a global action plan for the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases from now through to 2020. This includes a number of targets for countries to achieve. These are voluntary targets and are reviewed regularly. Countries are asked to provide updates to the World Health Organization on progress with the targets. Consumption of highly processed foods, mainly refined carbohydrates, excessive sodium in the diet, added sugar, and saturated fat are all linked to increased risk of obesity and diabetes. Actions to reduce the impact of these will definitely help. Some of these actions are at the policy level, so they're not nutrition actions per se. There's an important framework that's used to identify where action is needed to promote healthy diets, and this is the Nourishing Framework. The framework describes a number of key domains: food environment actions, food system actions, and behavioural change actions that governments around the world can help implement. Nourishing is used as an acronym for a number of different policy actions that countries can take, and I'll describe the first and the last one. N is for nutrition labelling and standards. Evidence suggests that people that want to eat well use nutrient lists, and they also look at the back of packaging to see how much fat and sugars are in a particular product. So nutrition labels are really important, and they encourage companies to change their products, which is a really important side issue. We've been really lucky in Australia and New Zealand to be able to implement effective nutrition labelling, and this has improved diets. G is for give nutrition education and skills, not just to improve knowledge, but to take people through what is needed to have a healthy diet. For example, healthy cooking at home. Evidence suggests that interventions here can be effective, and one such example is the Good Start project, which has been implemented in schools in Queensland. It's taught children cooking skills, which improved cooking at home and the quality of the diet at home, which is really important. They were also given nutrition education about a range of things, but one that had a large effect was discussing in class the amount of sugar in a standard can of soft drink. And knowledge about this improved and led to a reduction in the amount of soft drink consumed. So the Nourishing Framework is a really good way for countries to move forward on policy level actions related to diet to address chronic disease.